girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I like the girls with their nails done.
What an absolute monster this new railgun weapon is. After accidentally stumbling upon an interesting video from a creator called TheCrownDontMove, who was hitting 50,000 damage on the sunken witch, I was like, wait a minute. Hold on a second. I had no idea the monorail was capable of putting up numbers that big. Huge shout out to TheCrownDontMove for sharing such an amazing build idea for the monorail. I will have a link down in the description in case you want to go see the original video and hit our boy with a sub. After seeing those insane 50,000 damage numbers, I couldn't help myself but to try to push for even bigger damage. Like the build junkie that I am, one thing our boy here might not know is that the monorail scales its charged shot damage with charged rate speed. That was difficult to say. That was very difficult to say, alright? The key is finding the perfect balance between charge speed, damage fragments, and build components. Unfortunately, I wasn't lucky enough to get the 75% increase to range damage legendary, which I believe could push the damage closer to 100k, but this build will still do some serious work. In this video, I will walk you through how to use the monorail, explain how it works, and break down the build that I'm using. Just a heads up though, this build, while it does a ridiculous amount of damage, it's definitely a meme build. You can vanish very quickly due to the weapon's overcharge mechanic if you're not careful. I'll be working on finding a balance between tankiness and DPS for the future live streams, but for now, enjoy the most optimal DPS setup for the monorail. Haste. Hunter's Focus, we can activate this before we go in. Go out. Boom. Activate this mode, wait for the attack, dodge behind, or whatever. Oh my god, okay, do it again. Okay, dude. Okay. He tanked it somehow. Oh yeah, good tap. All right. True. Okay. Alright, reload. Relic for the squills. Put back the mods here. Maybe, you know what? Let's try to one-shot. Oh my god, 61k. Okay, I will not be able to one-shot, but I will be able to do a little bit more damage now. 61 without the Hunter's Focus? That is very interesting. Okay, now we will have the Hunter Focus. Alright. Maybe waste one wormhole here. Okay. Not bad. We're gonna need a chance to one-tap her again. What is happening? We should be able to do it now. Oh, we need a little bit more mod. And we have the mod. Come on, baby girl. Let's go. All right. That is good. That is good. Fellas, we also have a big bug. Take a look at this crazy interaction with 𝐂𝐚𝐦𝐢𝐧𝐠, the impact cannon, and the monorail. What is this thing? I don't die. I don't die. Look at the damage. What is this thing? What exactly is this interaction? And now soon, I will be teleported into the stone because the game thinks I'm dead when I place down the impact cannon. KissinHomies, good night. Thank you for this info, brother. I don't know what to say. Moving on with the video, alright? Okay, people, this is how this build works. You pop some haste, brightstone, focus, death brand, corrosion, activate the mode, dodge, and let's go. 3.9 seconds. That's it. That's the sweet spot, alright? 3.9 seconds. Now, let me explain why I use everything I use here, because this might be confusing for the new players, okay? This comes from a lot of experience, so I will explain to you how everything works. First of all, the reason why we pop the haste is because we are using the trait perception that gets us to 10% haste. And haste is giving us charge speed. And the reason why we need charge time for this build to work is because the monorail is actually scaling the damage of the charge time. The faster you go to the 100%, the more damage you will have, because it will be at 100% for at least 2 maybe seconds, and those 2 seconds will overcharge the weapon to do massive amount of damage. I'm using 0 hour amulet with this one, which gives us 20% to all damage and 10% critical chance. I could go for something like necklace of supremacy, which gives us 30% damage. That is a 10% more damage than what we had, which would take us maybe to 90k damage, but the critical chance is very important for this build, because otherwise we will not get the big crits on the weak spot. We will have to be very, very lucky to get them. We could possibly get to 90k damage, of course, but trust me, to make this video, I had to try many times to have the perfect rotation and the perfect critical chance to pop the head on the enemy, alright? It's not easy to pull off, it's a meme build, but it works, okay? And it works quite nicely. It's super fun, okay? I recommend you try it. So as mentioned, we are using 0 hour, 20% all damage, 10% critical chance, and then some sweet 25% weak spot damage, Archer's Crest because we need that charge time to 25, Akari Warband because every time we use the wormhole we will get the perfect dodge. That gives us another 10% critical chance and critical damage. Pairing that with the probability cord, we will get another 20% critical damage for those big juicy numbers that we love. On the Corrupted Room Pistol we are using Fetid Wounds. Pairing that with Death Brand, it's a massive increase to our damage because of the corrosion and another 10% from the Death Brand. On the monorail, we are using the Mutator that most people use on single shot weapons. I used many relics in this build, but the Diverting Heart is good to get your skills back to do more damage. I'm going with a light dodge to proc the 0 hour, and here are the traits. We're gonna use Affliction to keep the corrosion on the enemy, bigger window for damage. With this particular armor set that I'm using, I need to use Strong Back to get the light dodge. We'll be using Amplitude also to increase the area of the Death Brand and the Brightstone. Vigor, Chakra to increase the duration on the monorail mode and the Death Brand. Fitness to reposition, which is not that crazy important for this build. And a very important part, of course, is the Perception, which will take us to 10% haste or 10% charge time. The rest of the leftovers go to Flashcaster plus 30% cast speed. Onto the Prism and the Fragments, I will be using the same Prism that I used for the bow build. The fragments that we're using are 10% critical damage, plus 15% weak spot damage, plus 10% range damage. After testing, range critical chance works better because you get more often the critical hits, but I wanted to go for big numbers for the video. And then on the Prism, we have mod duration, range critical chance, ammo reserves, weak spot damage, critical damage, range damage, weapon ideal range, fire rate, reload speed, and the legendary is the Master Killer, multiplies weak spot damage by 1.25, that is a 25 increase to weak spot damage. And there you go, fellas, this is the Monorail meme build, which actually works quite nicely. I'll try to make this build work on different builds to be more tanky, more reliable. We will see that in the future. Make sure to subscribe to help your boy reach 10k, which is the goal until the end of this year. I will be very happy if you come by our next live streams. We are doing some crazy stuff with the new DLC, and I will be very happy to have you there. But until then, stay chaotic, and I will see you on the next one.